I was trying to tell you the whole fight. The hook is that he kept going like this. Demir. Yeah. Throw the hook.
Don't throw it in the damn head. Where you don't be.
I couldn't see. I was like orange and yellow. So like right here, I was like, man, hesitant to try to get caught over here. So that's why it was hard to do that.
That was the undisputed king of boxing, the pound-for-pound #1 himself, Terence Bud Crawford, giving his teammate pointers, Nelson, on what he should have had done differently to get the victory against Pacheco. Now, Crawford was making a great point, which that's what makes Terence Bud Crawford the best fighter in the world. He's not just the best finisher in the world pound for pound. He's not just one of the hardest hitters, the best combination puncher, one of the best offensive and defensive fighters of all time. It's not just that. He also have the best IQ, and that's what separates him from the rest. Just like Floyd. Floyd always says, you can be faster than me, stronger than me, whatever better than me. However, you are not smarter than me. And that's exactly what Crawford is going to bring to the table that's different against Canelo Alvarez. With all the circumstances he's under, all the disadvantages that no one has been under, the whole world is going to see if the pound-for-pound king, Terence Bud Crawford, is going to be able to go over all of these disadvantages to be victorious and remain the supreme in the sport of boxing. Can't say it's a difficult task because this task is so difficult. No one has been through this task. No one has put himself under these type of circumstances in order to dare to be great. So we can't wait for September to come through to see the biggest fight in boxing, and that's Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. You heard it right. Crawford's name will always be first, even if he's second, because he's first and last in the sport of boxing over Canelo Alvarez when it comes to everything and anything. In fact, the only reason why this fight is happening to begin with is because Crawford was 3 divisions smaller than Canelo. If Crawford was the same size as Canelo or even 1 division below Canelo, you best believe Canelo would have had avoided Crawford worse than he did David Benavidez. Only God knows what Canelo would have had asked to fight Crawford. If you think $200 million for Benavidez was a lot, he probably would have asked for $1 billion to fight Crawford, let alone if it was vice versa, Canelo moving up 3 weight divisions. Nevertheless, when it comes to Nelson against Pacheco, clearly Nelson did his best. He gave it his all, and that's all you can ask really from a fighter. He showed his warrior spirit, but as far as the fight itself, there's 2 things that Nelson could have had did different to put himself in a better position to get the victory. One was what Crawford was talking about, which is time Pacheco perfectly with that left hook when Pacheco was on the move, hiding behind his shoulder. Even then, Pacheco actually could have had deflected that punch with his right hand if he was able to time it correctly to defend against it. However, the other thing Nelson could have had done, which is fight at the right range. I felt that he was fighting at the wrong range all night long. He had to close the distance and force an inside fight against Pacheco, because when he did that in the later rounds, we seen Pacheco hold. We seen that Pacheco inside game is obviously not his P's and Q's. The man is 6'4", he's tall as hell. He want to keep you in the outside. So obviously Nelson had to fight in the pocket in order to beat Pacheco. As we seen in the last round, Pacheco was holding more. The more Nelson was trying to push the pace in the inside. And that's the type of fight he had to fight in order to beat Pacheco. Not fight from a distance the way he did. So when I saw that, I already knew that it was going to be a long night for Nelson, the way he was fighting. But it's easier said than done, because obviously you got someone that's tall as hell that's trying to counter every time you coming in. So if you're trying to force an inside fight, you got to take more risk, which we all know. Taking more risk leads to a KO. Pacheco kept searching for that uppercut, and best believe it would have been there more if Nelson was applying more pressure. But again, we've seen Pacheco clinch more in the inside whenever someone trying to force an inside fight. And that's what Nelson had to do. Bomac was giving Nelson a lot of great instructions. However, like I said, it's easier said than done when you're trying to execute. However, you don't have the quick feet to close the gap. You don't have the level change to avoid the counters. On top of that, you got to cut off the ring. And then when you finally get in the inside against this moving, tall target that's hitting you from a mile away, you got to worry about clinching. You got to try to push him off. Therefore, Nelson had to overcome a whole lot in order to beat Pacheco. He had to fight like Sean Porter, and he didn't. Pacheco, on the other hand, I want to see him against Edgar Berlanga. I think that's going to let us know where he's at. And then after that, I can see Canelo Alvarez welcoming the fight in 2026 with open arms, win or lose to Crawford, because he can see a path to victory by applying pressure and attacking the body while forcing an inside fight against Pacheco. That being said, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. It was cool to see Crawford in there supporting his teammate Nelson even after the loss the whole entire way. He was there giving him pointers and basically telling him to keep his head up. Subscribe below and to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good for him.
Terence, how did you assess Steven's performance tonight? Really good, tough 12-round fight. What did you think of Steven tonight and Pacheco for that matter?
I think both of them showed a lot of heart and grit. I think Steven did a tremendous job. He just started a little late. I think the cut got to him a little bit when it happened. And Pacheco did what he was supposed to do. He jabbed, he stayed disciplined with his distance. And when it came down to fighting, I just felt like, it was too late.
Steve, you hit him with a pretty good shot there in the 12th round. It seemed to shake him a little bit. Did you feel that he was hurt at some point?
Yeah, for sure. There was a couple of times where I caught him with some good shots, and I just seen his body language. But like Bud said, I should have kicked the gas in like a little earlier. But man, it sucked to be on this end of the fight game. But we got to get away from, people taking losses and they're like, oh, that's over for him. Like, nah, we got to make these fights, these big fights happen. That's why I went for him.